Good morning, everyone. This is Curtis Hawks, Executive Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer over here at Iams, and I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us this morning. We've got Brent DeGroot on the call with us this morning. He's our Regional Sales Director over at OneAmerica, and we're going to be talking about some of the opportunity in the asset-based LTC marketplace and why we've seen that really significantly grow over the last several years, and why we think it's going to continue to grow and be a bigger and bigger part of the discussion that you're having with your clients. Before we get into that, I did want to chat a little bit about some of the ways, in addition to these webinars that we do, some of the additional ways that we can help partner with advisors in their practice. First of those is our new producer builders, and you can see a number of options there on your screen. But really, this is a great way if you're a new advisor to Iams, or if you're looking at Iams and thinking about joining. This is a great way for us to help partner with you. So as you're producing business with us, you can qualify for a variety of different things, as you can see, on whether it's marketing or prospecting, cash, trips, etc. And what I would also tell you is one of the core themes about Iams is we're all about customizing what we do to that individual agent advisor. And so if you're doing something right now that's working for you and it's not up on this list, call and reach out, talk to a sales director, chat with them about it. Because at the end of the day, what's most important to us is what's most important to you. Next up are our Iams business builders. And so these are additional ways that you can accrue dollars. So first, if you're currently working with Iams and you like what we're doing, you like the service and the support that we provide, if you've got an agent that you know isn't maybe quite happy where they're at, send them our way. Not only will you get a $50 bonus when the agent gets contracted, but you'll get an additional $100 bonus when they place their first piece of business. And then, and this is, honestly, some of the biggest checks we cut, but on an ongoing basis, you'll earn dollars on their production. You don't have to do anything. We'll take care of the service. We'll take care of the agent. But it's a great way to generate additional revenue. And then our marketing reimbursement program. This is a great way to double the size of your advertising budget. So as you're producing business with us, whether it's on the annuity side, the traditional life, the SPL side, you're accruing additional marketing dollars that can be used for advertising in your business. Back office support. That's not a super exciting thing to talk about, but the reality is, I think in the environment that we're in, there's really been a spotlight put on good back office support, as we've had carriers that have gone remote and don't have staff working in the office, and with all the changes and everything that's gone on, I think having a good team of back office people there supporting your business is critically important. It always has been, but I really think it's put a spotlight on it, whether it's from new business processing to case support to illustration, whatever it might be, knowing that you've got a team of people there to support your practice. We know that we're working in a digital age, and so one thing I wanted to mention was we do have Firelight integrated on the Iams website. You can see here a number of the carriers that we have. In addition to this, we have iPipeline as well. So for the ability to do e-applications or to not be face-to-face with the client, we've got all of that built out on the site. Creative marketing solutions. One of the things that I would tell you, and we wrapped up our first ever Ascend virtual event, which for those of you who attended, I hope you found it very beneficial. For those of you that maybe didn't get a chance to sit on the live presentations last week, we did record everything. So you can still log in there and watch everything. And if maybe this is the first time you're hearing about it, reach out to a sales director. We did record everything, so you can get in there and watch the recorded presentations. But one of the things that we talked about in some of the videos was tactical marketing. And so we know that with COVID, some of the things that we did pre-COVID, or some of the things that advisors did, like workshops as an example, don't work the same way in a pandemic. And so one of the things that we've found with our advisors is that taking a more tactical and customized approach has produced good results. And so really drilling down into that local geographic area and what's going on there, and really putting together a combination of multiple strategies is what's been able to generate a consistent flow of prospects. And so What I would encourage you to do, if you haven't done this already with us, is we do have a custom marketing analysis process where you can call in, we'll go through, and essentially it's a needs analysis for the advisor from a marketing standpoint, and we'll develop a custom marketing plan of what mix of marketing activities we think make the most sense based off your target demographic, your geographic location, and what it is you're trying to accomplish this year. And so suffice it to say, we've got a really good team here. And again, it's all dialed into what are your goals, what are the marketing assets that you have currently, and what do we need to do to bridge that gap to help you generate that consistent flow. So if you haven't reached out and had that done, make sure that you reach out and speak with a sales director. Phone number is 800-255-5055. I talked a little bit about the Iams website earlier, but again, it is your one-stop shop. We've got, whether you want to quote annuities, life insurance, you want to do e-applications, you want to get access to rates, product information, and then we've got our sales resource library on there as well, which is a wealth of point of sale consumer facing pieces that you can use for marketing, both face-to-face and virtual. Retirement Analyzer, again, we are in a day and age where things have to be optimized for virtual presentations. And as many of you have seen over the last year, talking about retirement planning, talking about income planning, those types of topics, it's not necessarily as easy to do that virtually as it is live. And so having software platforms available that can take complex ideas and really boil them down into a simple and straightforward and easy to understand format is critically important. And that's what this software does. And so it really provides that crystal ball of if you weren't on pace to do what you wanted to do, when would you want to know? Now or when it's too late to do anything about it? And in a simple and easy to understand way, it articulates that concept. And so I would encourage, if you're not using this, is definitely a platform that you should take a look at. Reach out, talk to a sales director. They can get you a trial version of this if you're interested. Lastly, Iams Wealth Management. Charles Jr. did a really good presentation last week at the Ascend event on this, but right now is really a great time. If you're currently in IAR and maybe not quite happy where you're at, or you're thinking about getting your license, reach out, talk to Charles and his team. It's a great opportunity right now to get into this space and can be a really good revenue generator for you, in addition to the commission-based products that you're selling as well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get things switched over to Brent. So Brent DeGroot, he is our regional sales director with OneAmerica. And a lot of people, when they think about retirement, they think about travel, leisure, family, all those things they're going to do. The reality, though, is that the two biggest expenses in retirement are healthcare and taxes. And a lot of people don't have a great plan for how they're going to address those things. And even when we talk about income planning, retirement planning, oftentimes the conversation is oriented around market risk, right? How do we manage risk in retirement and market volatility? The reality is a long-term care event can decimate, probably at a greater rate, a retirement nest egg than a downtick in the marketplace. And so OneAmerica's portfolio of products does a very effective job of generating leverage, yield, and showing a client how to position their assets in the most tax efficient manner possible to address, again, taxes in retirement as well as the cost of healthcare in retirement. So Brent, with that, I'm going to hand it over to you. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Curtis. Thank you very much. And I want to thank everybody for coming out today. And Curtis, you did a great job talking about the risks in a retirement portfolio if left unaddressed when we're talking about long-term care needs. That extended care event, especially, in cases, well, it doesn't really matter whether it's single or spouses, those extended care events can just devastate any well thought out, well planned out retirement plans. And so, protecting against that, making sure that they're completely covered from any extended care event is a very wise idea. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the market advantages of our solutions, our asset-based long-term care. So without any further ado, let's kind of get in here to the presentation today. really wanted to talk about 5 key advantages. The catastrophic or lifetime protection. I don't like when people kind of fall into that average trap, if you will, and I'll get more into that here in just a moment. Joint coverage, our second to die structure or contract the way we have it today. Qualified money. Many people don't understand, many advisors don't know that we can use qualified money to fund a great long-term care plan to cover that whole portfolio. We've got both life and annuity-based long-term care solutions, and I'll touch more on that here in just a minute as well. And then we're not new at this. We've got 30 plus years of experience. Actually sold our first asset care policy back in 1988, and our annuity care plan back in 1998 was our first one. So we've got lots of history and experience doing this. And then lastly, I want to look at some kind of, as we go through here, a couple case studies and that give some ideas on really why and how and what clients to look for. So first and foremost, catastrophic protection. So why do you do that? Well, let's ask ourselves really quickly, why do we buy insurance? Is it, car insurance? Is it for the windshield replacement, or is it for that total car crash? Moving forward here, for the house insurance, is it just that roof replacement, or is it for that total loss from a devastating fire or tree limbs falling on the house, whatever the case may be? And when we're talking long-term care, is it for just an average amount, 6 months to 6 years? Or do we really want to look at covering that severe cognitive impairment, which could last up to 20 years? And that's why I think it's very important for these lifetime or catastrophic planning. So to illustrate this point, I really wanted to show you this little dot matrix, if you will. I've taken out the indices on both sides here, but each one of those blue dots represented a long-term care event in amount of time and claim dollars and that sort of thing. So you can see they're kind of all over this map, if you will. But what a lot of advisors do is fall into the trap of, hey, I'll just plan for the average. And this is probably why an average is not the best way to plan for that. So let me just add in this nice little line here. That's the average. Between all of these little dots on this map, if you're only plotting for the average, and I'm going to say that the ones below the line would certainly have been covered by that average line there. Actually, only 9 of those dots are actually along that little red or orangish line. So those are the ones that exactly hit the average. But look at all those then above the line that were, outside of that average. So if you're doing average planning and only planning for the average need of care, you can see how many of these claims still have to dig into their retirement portfolio. And when you plan for the catastrophic need or our lifetime benefits, which is just something that we have and only we have here at OneAmerica in the asset-based world, here's kind of what happens. I like to just show this as well. Every single one of those claims is now covered with some sort of income stream because we have that true catastrophic planning in place and a lifetime stream of income for any long-term care events. So that's why I think it's very important. And just to kind of hit this point a little bit further, I just want to show you some of these long-term care longest claims that are out there. 3 top companies out there, and some of these could still be actually ongoing, but this is through December 31st of 2018. The largest claim there was a female with company 1 over $2.3 million, so 16 years, 6 months. The largest from company 2 over 19 years, 3 months. So those are well, obviously over the average amount of claim. And then company 3, over $2 million, if you will. And again, some of these could still be ongoing. So if you're only planning for the average, are you really doing your clients a disservice? I would think so, because, obviously claims can last much longer than the average need of care. So I'll get more into that, but I think it really hits home when we talk about our joint coverage. We have a second to die contract, meaning we can have two different individuals on the same policy, and they will pay out, to both individuals if they're needing long-term care. If they don't need long-term care, then it will pay a death benefit on the second insured. And what's great with the joint coverage is now you add that catastrophic, that lifetime coverage, and it really becomes a very strong, solid plan for your clients when planning for long-term care events. So let me give you just a little bit of highlight around this one as well. I did compare some of our competitors in this market space. And I think if you're like me, when you see a graph come up like this and there's some dollars on there, you automatically assume premium dollars. And you're like, well, OneAmerica looks the most. But if you start at the top and look at basically what we're doing, the premium is the same for all of our competitors and us. It's a joint case, $150,000. And compared to our competitors out there, they don't have joint cases. So we had to do two individuals with $75,000 each, obviously making that $150,000 premium, if you will. But really what it boils down to is looking at, okay, what type of benefits are these plans going to pay? Well, the middle two columns there will show you exactly what they're going to pay out for both the male and the female on this particular case. And you can see we're over $5,500 per month for any long-term care expenses that would be available to them. Our next closest competitor there would probably be Pacific Life down there at the bottom, paying, $46 at least in the female, $44 at the male. But what really I like to highlight here is that last column, because all of theirs are planning for the average. And all they do is go up to that average amount of time, 6 years. We're providing more benefits and at a lifetime option so that they can never outlive any of these benefits. They'll be available for both of them that they cannot outlive. And so I think that is just very important. And I really wanted to highlight some of this, some of the strengths of the plan that we have here at OneAmerica. So qualified money, I'm going to get into an example around this here in just a little bit, but just again, understand, because many people don't, that we have the ability to take qualified funds and put them into some of our asset-based solutions for your clients to really protect their overall portfolio. And why is that important? You look at the advent of the boomers here and really where these qualified sources, pre-tax dollar funding of their retirement started really within that boomer period. And you see these 401ks, the 403bs, just individual IRAs, all growing tax deferred, thus making them obviously, qualified money. But why not take a portion of those qualified funds and protect their whole portfolio? And again, many people don't realize that is an option out there, but we do have it here at OneAmerica. And if you look at the qualified funds and how quickly they are now growing over the past, 20, 30 years, we can see just how big this qualified money source is. So why not tap into some of that qualified funds? And again, I'll get into an example here in just a little bit around that. And then I also mentioned this earlier, we have both life and annuity-based long-term care solutions with OneAmerica. And I'll touch more on that as well. But the life is basically, it's a base policy. It's a life policy, single premium, recurring premiums, qualified funds, as I said. So we've got a number of ways that we can fund the plan, and then you actually fund what we call the continuation of benefits rider as well, which would create that lifetime benefit structure or that true catastrophic planning. Then we also have an annuity based as well. So again, a base policy, which is based on an annuity, And I'm going to touch on really three main reasons why people look at our annuity-based solutions when I get into that a little bit as well. But I'll touch on one, really two almost in this little point when I'm talking about the annuity side. There's three main reasons that people will look at our annuity-based solutions. One could be underwriting. And as you can see here from the American Association of Long-Term Care Insurance, when we start to get the advanced ages, you're going to see a lot more inference of declines. So the last thing you want to do is talk to your clients about this, submit an application, and then get them declined. That leaves a sour taste in everybody's mouth. And so when we move to our annuity solutions, what we can do, even for those that maybe failed to plan or looking maybe to add some more to their plan, we're going to see a lot less in terms of declines, because our underwriting scenario on our annuity-based solutions, annuity care, we see typically around a 95% approval rating. And the only reason there's a little bit of a 5% difference there is there's 5 knockout questions, so pretty simple there. If they do add the continuation of benefits rider, which could give them that lifetime coverage, there is a telephone interview as well. So if there's any kind of cognitive solutions, that's where that kind of possible decline, that 5% area may come into play. But again, if they failed to plan or want to add to a plan, they're getting advanced in age, annuity solutions are great. And then the underwriting on these really helps as well. So that's why we have the two, and I'll get into an example around this a little bit later. I talked about this already, 30 plus years of experience. Again, 88 for asset care, 98 for annuity care. So we've been at this a long, long time. We've got a lot of great experience in pricing with these solutions. One of the best things about asset-based long-term care, certainly compared to traditional offerings, is the fact that people, you probably heard of some of the rate increase action that has happened on the traditional model. And these are asset-based, and so they are guaranteed premiums, guaranteed benefits, and a guaranteed death benefit as well. So all guarantees built into this. So getting into a little bit more in the weeds here and really kind of explaining what these concepts all are, many of your clients may have told you, you know what, I'm fine, I'll just self-fund any LTC risk that comes up. And I want to just show you, here's what the concept of self-funding then looks like. Again, you've got a very well-balanced portfolio here by this pie chart. Your conservative funds, your moderate, your aggressive for growth, moderate, certainly for growth, but certainly a little bit of downside risk there, not as much as the aggressive. But then your conservative funds, which are poised to preserve capital and many times with guarantees and that sort of thing. So if they're going to self-fund, here's typically what happens. When they have a long-term care event and $80,000, I'll use a fairly, standard or maybe even lower. If you get to middle America here, if you push it out to the coast, an average year of care is going to be much higher than this 80,000. So I'm using a very conservative number or Midwest type number of 80,000. Draining that, they're going to probably take that from the conservation, the saving, the principal there, taking it out of the conservative funds. So they pull that out for any long-term care need, but that's just for 1 year. Now, what happens when they continue year after year needing that? And you can see how quickly that can invade somebody's portfolio. Now, their portfolio might be much larger than this, and it may not eat up that quickly, but essentially the concept is still there. It's exactly the same. They're just going to keep eating into that whole plan by self-funding. And there's just a better way of doing it. And that's where the concept of life-based LTC or asset-based long-term care comes into play. So why not peel out a portion of their conservative funds, again, looking for those guarantees. And so in this particular case, I'm going to say it's for a husband and wife. So if 1 year of care was 80,000, I'm gonna take that for two of them. I'm actually going to pull out less than 1 year of care for both of them, so 150,000 here. And what does that do? We can then leverage that to create a death benefit. So it's a life-based plan. So we create a death benefit with that single premium here. That death benefit now is what we use to accelerate the benefits if they needed for long-term care, but it's still their death benefit there. The death benefit would get used up first, so that's where their the long-term care benefits come into play. But if they never need it, and on the second to die in these contracts, then that death benefit gets passed on to their heirs. So there's nothing really at risk here, because it's still their money. They have access to it at any time. They create the leverage that is needed. They also get a guaranteed death benefit, guaranteed long-term care benefits if they needed. And then if we add that continuation of benefits rider, true catastrophic planning, we can create those long-term care benefits all the way through the second life that they can never outlive. So a much better way of really protecting that portfolio, if you will, than self-funding. So let's talk about the solutions. I talked about both life insurance, which is we call our asset care, our annuity base, which is our annuity care. Here's kind of the suite of products, if you will. The ones that are kind of in that orangish kind of color there are some examples that I'm going to be going through today. But really, just know this: when you're speaking with your marketing partner there at Iams, or if you want to reach out to my internal, which I'll give his information here a little bit later as well, just give us the situation for your clients. We need a few things, and I'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But we can create these great solutions for you to present to your clients. So this is kind of the suite of products here, or solutions, if you will. But I'm not going to go into each and every one. We just don't have the time today. But I want to give you a good look at all of these options, certainly the ones that I'm highlighting there in the orangish red color. So with all of those solutions, look, OneAmerica is a blessing and a curse. And we've tried to simplify our solution offering set to make it easier to understand, because when you've got a lot of ways that you can create these plans, you've got a lot of options. And from somebody who's newer to long-term care planning, or is used to another form of long-term care planning, this may look a little foreign to them. And then when you've got a lot of options, it can be somewhat daunting or overwhelming. So we're really trying to just boil this down, simplify it, make it as easy to understand as possible. So I'm going to start with our asset care here. And again, let's simplify this thing. And we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about a base policy. And in our asset care, it happens to be a life policy that we're going to start with the base. That's going to be used for the long-term care need. So the base policy there, and then you've got the COB rider, continuation of benefits rider, which can either be for a portion to match the base policy, or where we really shine is that continuation or that catastrophic coverage of lifetime benefits. So pretty simple, base and rider. So let's go into a quick case study here. Single pay asset care case. We've got a recently retired couple, solid assets to cover their income needs. Thought self-funding was the way they were going to go until Mary's mom was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. That was a little bit of an eye-opener. They own a CD worth $200,000. They considered that their emergency money, or you may have heard your client say, well, that's just kind of our safe money. We just leave that sitting over here. Well, that's exactly what Bill and Mary had. That their CD has now grown to $200,000, and that's their emergency funds. They would really use that for any long-term care. And I think you'll find this too. If you talk to your clients and they talk about these emergency money or these safe funds, or just in case, whatever they want to call it, when you ask them some follow-up questions on that, what they're typically going to be describing is a long-term care event. That's what they're using that money for. So Why not leverage this? And let's show you ways that we can do so. So they had that emergency money. That was their plan. They were going to self-fund with that emergency fund. Now, Bill just got diagnosed with diabetes. The good news is he's controlling with diet and exercise. That was certainly a wake-up call for both of them. And so we're trying to put a great plan of care in place for them. So what we're going to do is we won't even take that whole 200,000 CD that they have, but we're going to reposition 150,000 of it. And we're going to create a plan for both of them. And that 150,000 then is split between our kind of timeline, if you will, there between the base policy and then the lifetime rider. So 150,000 single premium here creates a nearly $185,000 death benefit. We're going to accelerate that at 3%, which would give them over $5,500 per month for 33 months out of the base policy. But the other portion of that premium will also go to fund the unlimited or the lifetime rider as well. So that would continue that over $5,500 of long-term care benefits for the life, something they could never outlive. They'll never, again, if you remember that dot matrix, all of those would be covered because they've got this unlimited coverage. So that's kind of how that works, if you will. So I also wanted to go into more of a recurring premium. That was a single premium type situation. Now let's go into recurring premiums. Many people don't understand that we have recurring premiums as well. So we can treat it maybe more like a traditional long-term care plan. So same portfolio, same well-balanced, but now we're going to take, again, out of the conservative funds, certain portions to pay on a recurring basis. That creates the leverage for the death benefit. I didn't put an amount in there because it all depends on, ages, the amount of accelerations they wanted to do, the long-term care benefits they're looking for. So the death benefit will change by a number of factors. So I didn't put an actual amount in there, but again, we're going to leverage the amount they give us for a death benefit that's used for the long-term care benefits. And then we can always add that rider, which I will strongly recommend to cover them for life. So here's a quick example of that. We've got a young couple here now, male 52, female 51, started with a $4,100 monthly LTC benefit, and I added a 3% inflation for 20 years. Because they're younger, I feel that we still need to add some sort of inflation to make sure that this grows over time. And what I really tried to do here is keep it around a 500. If they're going to pay monthly, they weren't going to pay annually. So annually, we're talking $6,065 every year. If they're going to pay monthly, I always try and keep that around a $500 a month type plan. So that's where we come up with the $4,100. So we're going to start there, but we added that 3% inflation. We're going to create a death benefit here of $137,000 with that first premium that they give us on an annual or monthly basis. That creates that $4,100 for long-term care benefits for 33 months. They would use that first if they needed, those claim dollars for long-term care. And then part of that premium then funds the unlimited lifetime option. But remember, we added that 3% inflation for 20 years. So that $4,100 LTC benefit when we started this plan will grow by 3% each year for 20 years. So at the end of 20 years, we're going to be up to over $7,400 per person per month. And again, they can't outlive that amount of long-term care need. So great little example here too. I just wanted to kind of show you that recurring premium option. Now the one that gets a little more in depth is when we talk about our qualified dollars option. And so because there's a little bit more to it, I've got a slide here. It's a little bit busy. I apologize, but I really like this option. And I wanted to make sure we could try and explain it as much as possible so you had a good grasp of it. So it is called our annuity funded whole life. I don't like the name myself because I think when people hear it, they think it's an annuity-based chassis, if you will, but it's really still our whole life chassis. It's just our qualified money option. I wish we would just kind of call it that, but I didn't name it, so we'll leave it at that. But here's a case where we're just going to take, a transfer of their qualified dollars and create this whole life asset-based long-term care plan for them. So here's your funding options: 401ks, 403bs, any existing IRAs out there. So in this particular case, Bill and Mary, both age 60, they had an old IRA out there. Some of you may have worked for a number of companies and just left an IRA that was just kind of growing there, or a 401k with an old employer, whatever it is. They had a $250,000 old IRA. What we do is a trustee to trustee transfer. We take it from their trustee, wherever that those funds are at, that qualified source, transfer it over to our qualified annuity at OneAmerica, and do a very seamless, easy one application process from there. So we take that $250,000, we're going to automatically give it a 20% bonus. So any amount that they give us for this qualified option, we're going to give it that 20% bonus. And there's a number of reasons for that, and I'll get into that as we go through this particular situation. So they gave us $250,000, we give it the bonus. Now we've got a $300,000 pool, if you will, of premium dollars to create this whole life example. Now, I put this hourglass up here because I think that this really represents the best way, at least visually, to understand what we're doing here. So now we've got this qualified annuity here at OneAmerica, and we're going to siphon over the next 10 years out of that qualified annuity into the whole life policy. We take 10 equal distributions. So it's $300,000. So each year we're going to take $30,000 from that qualified annuity and fund the whole life asset-based long-term care plan. Now, because these were qualified dollars, still have to pay the piper sometime. IRS wants their money, needs their money. And but the nice thing is we're not taking that full $250,000 tax hit in 1 year. We're spreading that risk out over 10 years. So when we pull that $30,000, there is going to generate a LTC 1099 to your clients. The good news with this as well, these distributions can count towards RMDs. So just think of that as well. Now, you can see where that $30,000 then comes to split out over our timeline again, the base policy and the rider. So $15,000 of that $30,000 each year will go to cover the base policy and the death benefit there. We're creating nearly $300,000. And then the other portion of that $30,000 is going to the COB portion. Now, the good news with this, you can see exactly what that death benefit will afford them. Nearly $9,000 per month each. So if they're both on claim at the same time, we're talking, 18, nearly $18,000 per month for long-term care needs. So again, and they can never outlive it because we have this unlimited COB rider added on there as well. So again, so each year we're just going to take those equal distributions for 10 years to fund that life insurance policy, and then it is done. Now, one thing that I will say, we have a waiver of premium built in on these riders. So let's say that one of the, Bill or Mary happened to go on claim, say in year 6, waiver kicks in for that. Those distributions out of that, the qualified annuity still pay out, will go directly to them, so they can use those extra funds for that because now the waivers kick in for the base policy. So this is a really, really nice option, if you will, funding source for our asset care solutions. And I just really wanted to hit on it. I know it's a little bit more information, a lot of busyness maybe on this slide, but really wanted to hit that piece home. Now, I want to go into the annuity side. Talked about our asset care side. Now I want to switch gears, go over to the annuity side. I told you there were three real reasons. The first two I mentioned earlier were age, maybe lack of planning, or underwriting ease. And one of the nice things about having both the life and the annuity options or solutions on the portfolio that we have, let's say we start on the asset care side, and unfortunately, because of the health history or whatever the case may be, they don't qualify there. We're automatically going to look and see, can we offer them an annuity solution? So we've got the pivot ability there as well, since we've got this annuity chassis also. But there's a huge reason that we look at the annuity cares as well, and it's really the ways to go from tax deferred to tax free income, and that's utilizing the Pension Protection Act, and I'll get into that here in just a little bit. But again, to simplify this, our annuity care solutions, just like asset care, we've got our base policy, and then you've got the ability to add that COB rider. So very quickly, wanted to talk about that. But let's get into the Pension Protection Act. Hopefully you remember what this was all about. But one of the biggest things the IRS did for us is created this portion of the Pension Protection Act, which says we can use these taxable gains in non-qualified contracts that are out there, non-qualified annuities, 1035 exchange into a HIPAA compliant PPA eligible annuity, like we have all of ours at OneAmerica, and use any of that gain and basis all tax-free. So basically what we do here, instead of having all the gain come out first and being taxed to that client, why not leverage that, use the 1035, put it into our annuity care solutions, which are all HIPAA compliant and PPA eligible annuities, and then any of those resources that they use for long-term care expenses are all going to be income tax free. Can also add that optional continuation of benefits rider, which I talked about as well. So this is the other big portion of why we look at our annuity solutions, and I think that this is really a no-brainer. You know, if you again look at your clients, look at your book of business. Many of them may have some non-qualified annuities just kind of sitting out there outside of surrender charges, not really growing much anymore because the interest rate environment is so bad, but they have pretty sizable gains that are sitting out there. Now, if they just left those where they're at and started to tap into those for any long-term care benefits, they're going to be taxed on certainly the gain first. Why not just 1035 that into our annuity care solution, one of the solutions, and now if they have any long-term care expenses, they're all going to be tax-free income. So great way to get rid of some of that taxable gain for income-free resources when it comes to long-term care expenses. So I really like that there's really no downside for your clients when you look at that situation. It's still their annuities, still their money. And at some point, if they don't have any long-term care needs, it still passes on to their heirs just the way it would the annuity that's just kind of sitting out there. So great reason to look at our annuity care suite of solutions as well. So I'm going to give you a quick case study here on one of our annuity care options, which we call Annuity Care 2. But here's Marie, sweet Marie, age 72 here. She's retired, solid assets, a pension to cover her income needs, so she's good there. But she's concerned that LTC expenses would jeopardize any, legacy that she wanted to leave to her kids. So being over the age of 70, and certainly in the time of COVID that we're still in, hopefully we'll get out of here, within the next three to 6 months with all the vaccinations, but that really prevents her from the purchase of any traditional or even hybrid long-term care insurance out there. being over the age of 70 many times has precluded her. There's so many restrictions out there around, applications because of a certain age. Well, on our Annuity Care 2 or Annuity Care Solutions, we don't have any of these restrictions. She owns a non-qualified annuity worth $200,000, $100,000 a base, $100,000 a gain. It's at a guaranteed interest rate of 2.5%, which is quite good right now. So we're going to use that, and that was what she was going to use for any long-term care expenses, but without any coverage, that was really where she was going to tap into. But again, if she taps into that non-qualified source, it's a taxable annuity, and that's where she starts paying, obviously, any taxes on the gain first. It could push her into a higher tax bracket. It could affect her Medicare premiums. There's a lot of things that could really impact your clients if they just leave it there versus moving it, 1035ing it over to a PPA eligible annuity. So here's your action: self-funding, doing nothing, status quo, leave it where it's at. $200,000 non-qualified annuity. Outcome: when she starts taking withdrawals from that for home care, what happens? It's not the full $200,000 that she's going to get. It's going to be, taxed on any of that gain, and it could be only $175,000, and that's a fairly conservative, tax rate there. But she doesn't get the full $200,000. If we leverage it for long-term care, so changing assets for changing needs, obviously we're going to leverage that. We just take a 1035 exchange from her existing non-qualified annuity, put it into our Annuity Care Solutions, which are PPA annuities. Now that $200,000 pays for both the base and COB charges, internal charges, to cover any of her expenses. Really what this Annuity Care 2 does, this is the only annuity care plan which we don't have lifetime benefits, but we heavily leverage that funding source. So really that $200,000 becomes $500,000 in tax-free long-term care benefits. So what a great way to, leverage that and get rid of all of that taxable gain. Now, one last thing I wanted to talk about here, because I think this is just a great website for any of you to, give to your clients as it stands today. Maybe it's you find it difficult to start that conversation, but I wanted to give you a great website that we have available out there, and it's just experiencecaresolutions.com. And I wanted to show you really what it looks like. This is the first page. It's a very interactive website. Basically, if a client goes there, they go on here, they get a lot of information surrounding long-term care needs and what may happen, the costs of it, that sort of thing. Very interactive, great information, nothing just, completely glaring and too in their face, but just really good, solid advice and information for them to understand why it's important to plan for long-term care needs. They go through all those steps, if you will, and at the end they would say, okay, get ready to take the next step. So contact, your advisor who gave you this website. And so you can just leave it very generic, non-co-branded, if you will. But we've also got a way to make this co-branded for you as well, so they don't have to forget who sent it to them. Obviously, this is my picture, my information up here, but we can create this particular site and customize it for you. So when you send it to your clients, the very last step comes up to be all of your information, anything that you want to put there, make it very customized. Great way to just kind of start to plant that seed with your clients in talking about long-term care preparations and planning. So what to do next? So if you have any clients that would like a quote, call, email your marketing partner there at Iams, or you can contact my internal, Brian Bowl is his name, and I'll give you his contact information here in just a second. We'd be happy to run those quotes, get you help you work through those solutions for your client. If you want one of those customized websites like I was just talking about, please email me. And certainly I will let you, once you email me, I'll give you my contact information as well. Once you email me, I'll email you back the information that we need to get you set up for that customized site. If you want to learn more about our plans, both Brian and I do weekly trainings every Tuesday. And these are just, what we call Tidbit Tuesdays. And we go into a simple, solution or a sales idea or a function that is something that, really you want to pay attention to around some of the solutions that we offer. Or the home office has every Friday some training series as well. Every other week, it's a very deep dive. And then the off weeks it's much the same as we're doing on our Tuesday tidbits, but always different topics. So lots of ways you can get some more information around what we've got. And then the last thing that I will say here is send me a LinkedIn connection request, would you please? I love to work with the advisors that are out there. I love to speak with them. I like to connect with them. So please send me a LinkedIn request, and let's get synced up that way as well. Here's your solutions team, if you will, both the external and internal. So there's me there on the left, your regional sales director. I'm more the external. My internal sales partner, Brian Bull, you've got all of his contact information there as well. I'm going to leave the screen up for just a second. Now, if you don't capture this information and you still want to reach out to us, again, contact your marketing partner there at Iams. They will certainly get you in touch with us also. So what sets us apart? Both life and annuity-based solutions, joint or single life, variety of funding sources to put these plans in place, that optional lifetime benefits, which is just key for catastrophic planning. And again, don't fall into the average trap, if you will. Don't become an average advisor, because your clients aren't average. You need to make sure that they're protected. Got a great claims concierge service, which I didn't go into today, just don't have time for it. And we've got very reasonable underwriting guidelines. So with that, Curtis, I would love to bring you back on and wrap up here.
Brent, I appreciate it. That was very, very good information. And I hope everybody watching this today, just sees that opportunity. It's a massive marketplace, and it's something that it fulfills a need that people need. And it's one of those things where it's either you incorporate into your into your portfolio of products that you're offering, or they're going to reach out and talk to somebody else about it. And One America is a great option. We've put together a lot of tools, as has One America, as far as how to sell these types of products and position them and frame them. And so I would encourage you to, again, Brent put his contact information up there, but give us a call as well over here at Iams, 800-255-5055. We've got a lot of good pieces on this. I would also mention to everybody as well, One America does have an exhibitor gallery on that Ascend microsite from our event last week, so you can still go into there. We've got everything recorded, and you can learn additional information on them. But with that, Brent, I appreciate you taking the time to be with us today, and appreciate everybody spending some time with us this morning.
Yes, thank you, Curtis. I appreciate it, and thank you, everybody, as well. Your time is very valuable, so thank you for your valuable time.
Thank you.